when it comes time for Sukkot, which will be here before we know it, we will be able to see, if it's clear enough, to see a full moon from our sukkah, if we have a sukkah. But regardless, during that holiday, we'll be able to see the full moon as well. So I wanted to begin tonight just by sharing actually a beautiful poem that is very timely for this very particular moment, September 4th, Labor Day weekend. It's one of my favorite poems, and it's by the poet Marge Piercy from her book, The Art of Blessing the Day. And I often want to use it and then realize it's not quite the right time in the year, and I was thrilled when I remembered it because this is exactly the right time. So I invite you all to just take this poem in as we gather this evening for Shabbat. It's called Coming Up on September. White butterflies with single black finger paint eyes on their wings dart and settle, eddy and mate over the green tangle of vines in Labor Day morning steam. The year grinds into ripeness and rot, grapes darkening, pears yellowing, the first Virginia creeper twining crimson, the grasses dry straw to burn. The new year rises, beckoning across the umbrellas on the sand. I begin to reconsider my life. What is the yield of my impatience? What is the fruit of my resolve? I turn from my frantic white dance over the jungle of productivity, and slowly a nigun slides, cold water down my throat. I rest on a leaf, spotted red. Now is the time to let the mind search backwards like the raven loosed to see what can feed us. Now the time to cast the mind forward, to chart an aerial map of the months. The new year is a great door that stands across the evening, and Yom Kippur is the second door. Between them are song and silence, stone and clay pot to be filled from within myself. I will find there both ripeness and rot, what I have done and undone, what I must let go with the waning days, and what I must take in. With the last tomatoes, we harvest the fruit of our lives. So we harvest the fruit of our lives during this time. We take in, we harvest, we are in a time of cheshbon hanefesh, of taking account of our souls. And it is indeed a kind of harvest as we move toward the fall harvest festival just around the corner. We take stock, and I want to just bless us all in this, one of the final Shabbatot of the year 5780, that we harvest the fruit of our lives during this very tender time for everyone and for our communities, for our nation, and that we harvest that fruit in meaningful ways, and that we do it both deeply, privately, individually, intimately, but also together in community. So welcome to those who've just joined us. Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I'm going to just invite you to take those deep breaths to allow yourself some spaciousness to enter into Shabbat time. Make space for the Neshama Yetera, for that extra soul that our tradition says you're going to receive during this time. Create some spaciousness within yourself through your breath. And we'll welcome in Shabbat with the warmth and the beauty of the flame. Keep breathing, or join with me in candlelighting. We're on page 2 if you're following along in the prayer book. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam וקידשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. So as we enter into Shabbat in community, I want to take just a moment to do a new tradition that I'd like to start up for our community, a Simcha shout out. So some of you saw in our newsletter that I'm asking for happy occasions that we might want to lift up for the community, and so that we can share in each other's joy even when we're not together. And we asked that people let us know during the week, and I heard from Sonia Ravich that her granddaughter Jessica is getting married very soon on September 12th, and she feels very blessed to witness her third grandchild marry. And we also wish a mazel tov to Naomi Gertland, who celebrated the bar mitzvah of her son Gideon Lind just last Shabbat. So if you have other happy occasions that you'd like to share with the community, you can feel free to type them into the chat on Facebook or on Zoom, and then we'll share in them in that way. Let's sing together, welcoming the angels of peace, Shalom Aleichem, on page 24. And we'll have the link to the online prayer book should be in the chat for you as well, if you want that. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we move into the Psalms of Kabbalah Shabbat. We're going to sing some of Psalm 96, which can be found on page 13. And Josh is going to lead us in a melody that is for the last 4 lines of the page, beginning with Ya'aloz Sadai V'chol Asher Bo.
Ya'aloz Sadai V'chol Asher Bo, Ya'aloz Sadai. Ay, 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 Ya'aloz Sadai V'chol Asher Bo, Ya'aloz Sadai. Ay, 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 Az Yirananu Kol Hatzei Ya'ar, 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 Ya'aloz Sadai V'chol Asher Bo, Ya'aloz Sadai. Ay, 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 ay. V'chol asher bo ya'alu satai. Ay, 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 ay. Az yiranu kol hatzei ya'ar. 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 Ya'alu satai. V'chol asher bo ya'alu satai. Ay, 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 ya'alu satai. V'chol asher bo ya'alu satai. Ay, 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 ay.
So now it's time to remind ourselves to untie those knots, untie that which constricts us in body or spirit. Take another deep breath, maybe roll your neck if that helps. Going to sing this mystical, medieval, liturgical plea, Ana Bechoach, and going to share it on the screen so you can sing along. Ana Bechoach, Bechoach, Gedulat Yemincha, Yemincha, Tatzir Tzerura, Kaberinat Amcha, Sagvenu, Torenu, Nora. Amna Bechoach, Bechoach, Gedulat Yemincha, Yemincha, Tatzir Tzerura, Kaberinat Amcha, Sagvenu, Torenu, Nora. Yai lai lai, yai la lai, yai lai 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 la lai, yai lai 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 la lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 la lai, yai lai 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 la lai, yai lai 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 la lai, yai lai lai lai. So we're going to welcome that beloved Shabbat with Lecha Dodi, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9 on pages 20 and 21. When we get to that final verse, it's customary to rise and face the entrance of our homes and bow as if we were welcoming a very honored guest, which Shabbat certainly is. Sacred and honored time in the flow of time, a sanctuary or cathedral in time, as Rabbi Heschel said, that we need to enter into that to replenish our souls, to do our work in the world. So we turn to Lecha Dodi.
Lecha, lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei p'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha, lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei p'nei Shabbat Kabbalah, la 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei p'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei p'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Verse 1. Shamur v'zachur b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el ha'mechad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'liti la 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei p'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei p'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Verse 2. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, ki mekor haberacha, mirosh mikendem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshava dechi la 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת הקבלה, לך דודי, קרא לקראת קלה, פני שבת הקבלה, verse 5. התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי שיר תעברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לה 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 לה, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת הקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום, עטרת מעלה, גם בשמחה וזוהה, תוך אמונם סגולה, בואי קלה, בואי קלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לה 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 לה, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
That's one of the melodies I really miss singing in person, along with our Shabbat band, including Josh, of course, with Shabbat Biyachad, and can't wait for that to happen again. Let's turn to a piece of Psalm 92. This is where we usually sing our Hallelujah round, and I ask you for things that have inspired awe in you. We're actually going to sing a different portion of the psalm this evening, which comes from the later part of the psalm. And in the book, we're on page 22, and we're in the second half, the indented lines. Tzaddik katamar yifrach, righteous person like a date palm tree will bloom. And we're going to sing that. But I also didn't want to miss the opportunity to ask you to share moments of awe or wonder. And I had to share with you that today I noticed the hint of red on some maple leaves. And I couldn't resist turning it into a little photography project. So I took a picture of it. It's on my rabbi Instagram, where I put my nature photos, in case you'd enjoy that. You can take a look, and I'll try to share it other ways as well. But do look for yourself, not only for that full moon of Elul tonight or tomorrow, but also take a look and see the fringe of color. And it is truly amazing to witness the unfolding of the seasons, as we have been sort of in one long pandemic season. But we've gone from winter, really, into spring and summer, and now into fall, all during this very strange time. So that brought me a sense of awe. Anyone want to share on Zoom? You can unmute yourself if you want to share briefly, or in either of the chats, you can feel free to share with us. Oh, some beautiful flowers that Deborah is showing us. Gorgeous. Those are beautiful.
Beautiful flowers from my wonderful husband as we celebrated a wedding anniversary. Double chai.
Double chai. Mazel tov, Brian and Deborah. That is awesome. So happy for you.
Thank you.
Zita, did you have something? Did I see? No. Okay. So much is awesome, even when life in general doesn't feel so awesome. So may we replenish our souls with those moments, large and small, this Shabbat. And let's sing together towards the bottom of page 22. Sa Asher Adonai Suri Velo Avlata Bo. We're going to move into the Baruch Hu now, and Nathan had a wonderful idea, and Nathan's here on the Zoom tonight, that we're trying to find ways to connect as a community even while we're apart, and though Zoom makes it particularly difficult to sing together, which is why I can't even sing along with Josh when he's playing guitar because there's a time lag. Nathan suggested that perhaps for the Baruch Hu, when we really are saying we're assembled as a community, we're ready to pray, perhaps we unmute at that point. And so everyone who's on Zoom, you can unmute if you'd like. And because this is the call to prayer has a call and a response, I'm going to invite you to say the response out loud as you would if we were in person. We rise for the Baruch Hu in body or spirit as we're able. And if you'd like to unmute yourself, we're going to do that. As clumsy as it will feel maybe with the time lag, it will also, I think, remind us that we are in community together. And it's especially important as we prepare to enter a new year together. So Baruch Hu is on page 28. And everybody else who's not on the Zoom with me, please do also say the response aloud if you can. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Page 30. Umavir yom umevir laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamidim lo chaleinu, leolam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. Let's sing on page 32, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu B'shochveinu uvekomeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha uv'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed ki hem chayinu ve'orech yameinu ve'orech yameinu ובהם נגד יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. באהבת זכר תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני Page 36. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בעם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען עשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Emet. We're going to have a chance now to sing Mi Chamocha on page 40. And I just ask if that you keep yourself muted at this time. So on page 40, Mi Chamocha, just imagine yourself about to cross over into an unknown space, an unknown experience, an unknown land. You don't know what is around the corner, and you have to take that leap of faith. And then imagine that you've crossed over and it's worked out, and you're just where you are supposed to be, and you are safe. So that is the intention behind Mi Chamocha, and Josh is going to lead us. And we're on page 40.
Kamocha ma'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'tar b'kodesh, norad hilot osef elech, norad hilot osef elech, ma'alechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei al yam, לפני משה ולמרים, סלי סלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, Kal Yisrael. Turn to page 42 for Hashkivenu. If you'd like to close your eyes for a moment and access that place in you that knows what it's like to feel very safe, held, and secure, we ask that we go to sleep with that security, even if we feel anxious, even if it's hard to sleep. We pray that we sleep. Sleep restores our spirits, our souls, and our bodies. Our minds and our bodies need sleep. We pray that we have a restful sleep and that we wake up to a new day full of possibilities and full of important work for our entirely unique neshama, our essential core self. We're going to sing Hashkivenu, and then just that third line down on the page, Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha. Please, God, spread over us a canopy of peace. We might interpret that to mean, may we feel enough peace inside of ourselves that we can create a canopy of peace that comes forth from us and that really can embrace those we know and love, and in a way energetically embrace everyone in need of peace and healing throughout the world. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת, סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת, סוכת שלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. We're going to move into the standing prayer. Please rise if you are able to do that for Adonai Svatai and the following three blessings. We're starting on page 46, and we'll have time for our own private prayer. We'll be accompanied by some instrumental music that Josh will play. Take that time for yourself, whether the words in the book or the words in your heart. We'll join back together with a prayer for peace at the end. Ananana Adonai, Ananana Svatai Tiftach, Ananana Ufi Yagid, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים וחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני ההר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Let's join together in Ohabei Shalom, a prayer for peace, the bottom of page 62. Ohabei Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. We're going to pray now for healing of body and spirit for those we love, those we know, and also those we don't know. Just a general sending out of healing energy for body and spirit for people across the world. But first, we have the opportunity to share names of those for whom we're praying. If you are on Zoom or Facebook and would like to type in a name, you can do that. And first, I'm going to give you a moment to do that because I know we have a lag between Zoom and Facebook, but we will be praying this evening for a few members connected to our community: John Symington, Norbert Berman, Ken Sachs, Valerie Rose, Chaya Etta Bat Pinchas Verivka, Judy Mabel, Zita Samuels, Annalie Cohen, Constance Warshawski, and Cassandra Warshawski. So we have mentioned here Lois Rubin, Miriam Bat Yosefa, Jacob Blake, Anna McNaught, feel free to say names from wherever you are or to type them in as we continue with our prayer. Page 253 in the middle. Mi sheberach avoteinu mekor habracha leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imoteinu mekor habracha la'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. May all those we've named aloud and through text and in our hearts and through our voices, and all those we are holding in mind and heart, know healing and wholeness of whatever kind they most need of body and spirit, and let us say Amen. So a few brief words about where we are in Torah. We're really nearing the end of Torah, just as we're nearing the end of the year. Always works out that way, of course. We're about 5 parshiot from the end of Torah, which of course then just becomes the beginning again. We're in Parashat Ki Tavo. And it's a lot more reiteration. If you do all of these things, you will have blessing. And if you don't do all of these things, things will not go well for you. That reward and punishment kind of theology that we certainly all struggle with, as it is not our experience at all. So how can we glean wisdom from this for our lives? So what I want to focus on is that the words ki tavo mean when you come into the land. And this is actually the parsha from which we get a very commonly used verse in art. If you've received or given, perhaps as a wedding present, a blessing for the home, there are beautiful paper cuts or other kinds of beautiful Hebrew calligraphy they're called Birkat Habayit, a blessing for the home. And usually it takes a verse right from this parsha, which is, blessed are you, or may you be blessed in your coming in, and may you be blessed in your going out. Baruch atah bevoecha, uvaruch atah b'tzeitecha. And that comes from Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 6 in our parsha. And I think this parsha can teach us a lot about how we're asking for blessing when we enter into or leave a place, but it really asks us to think about how we can make our entering and our leaving a blessing. And I think the central message here is actually that when we enter into something new, whether it's a new place or a new time, in our case maybe a new year, from where we stand here at the precipice of a new year, when we do that we acknowledge that we are entering a new place or a new time. Why do I think that the Torah portion is teaching us this? Well, it's really interesting. The first thing that our Torah portion says that the Israelites should do when they enter into the land, it doesn't say enter in, build your houses, assemble your IKEA furniture. That's not what it says. The very first thing that you are supposed to do is bring the first fruits of that land. You are to bring produce that you will find there, the richness, the bounty of this land. And what are you supposed to do with it? Are you supposed to stuff your face with it? No. You're supposed to make an offering in thanksgiving. You're supposed to take what you find, and in thanksgiving that you have arrived in this new place, there's a whole ritual described here in Ki Tavo, that you should take the first fruits and go to the priest and go to a holy place. And actually this is all ritualized, this sense of offering and giving back when you have entered into a new place. And interestingly, the verse says that you should say to the priest when you bring the first fruits, I acknowledge this day before the Lord your God that I have entered the land that the Lord swore to our ancestors to assign us. You bring the stuff that you find there and you say, I acknowledge this day. There is a mindfulness here in this Torah portion. There is a call to notice that this is a new place, that you have made a transition, and you don't take it for granted, and you feel that you are connected to a force beyond yourself that has helped enable you to make that transition. So there's mindfulness and there's a deep gratitude, acknowledging that this moment, I've arrived in a new place or I've arrived in a new time. This moment, something beyond my own volition has brought me here, and this is a gift, and it's worthy of my giving back. It made me think of the Shahianu Blessing when we come to a new beginning or a holiday that we're celebrating again in the yearly cycle, and we say Shahianu. And what does that blessing mean? Blessed are you, God, who has brought us, who has enabled us to arrive at this moment. And here in this parsha, we are taught that in the first moment of arrival, we should have awareness and acknowledgement and gratitude. And out of that, you take an action. You give back. So I was thinking about how this this flow of events or thoughts or feelings is actually mirrored in how I think traditionally you would frame a Jewish day, that you would wake up and say, Moda'ani lefanecha, or Moda'ani lefanecha, I am grateful that I woke up. That's something many of us take for granted. Unless we're very sick, we tend to take that for granted. I woke up and I say thank you. And then I give back in the way that I live my day. I give back, I make of my words and my actions, ideally, a thanksgiving offering to God. In the way that I treat others, I can give back and I can show my gratitude. So as we stand on the precipice of arriving in a new year, we're asked to engage also with the words of Psalm 27. And as many of us know, there's a line in that psalm that is frequently sung during this month leading up to Rosh Hashanah and also on the High Holy Days themselves. And we sing the line, Achat sha'alti, I just ask one thing, Shivti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai, that I should live or I should dwell in the house of God forever. And I was thinking about the fact that that might mean, it can mean many, many things. We had a whole class discussion on it recently, some of us. But maybe it means to dwell in the house of Adonai. We know Adonai does not have a house, literally. So one thing it might mean is we live our lives in such a way that when we move from year to year and when we move from place to place, we acknowledge and we give thanks. And in this way, we're always connected to a sense of the transcendent. We're aware of the Hasidic story of the two truths in our pockets. We should keep two notes in each pocket, one in each pocket. One says, for me, the world was created, and the other one says, I am but dust and ashes. We hold those truths and we recognize at this time of the year, we are both very vulnerable. In some ways, we're powerless over what happens to us, and we also are so powerful in the choices we make, in how we live our lives. And those words, living, I want to dwell in God's house, I want to have that awareness, and I want to remember that where I am and the new place or the new time into which I am moving is something that I need not to take for granted and that I need to give back through my words and actions, an offering of gratitude. May we be blessed in this new year to live with an awareness of our blessings. Shabbat Shalom. As always, I welcome any questions, comments in the chat or afterwards. If you're on Zoom, can stay on a little bit if you have anything you want to share about that. And the rest of you, feel free to email me any feedback whatsoever, any questions, any thoughts that came to you. I love to have that kind of interaction. So leading into, I thought that would be a good segue into singing that line from from Psalm 27, Achat sha'alti, that's shared on your screen. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Shivti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai, לחזות בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו, לחזות בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו. We're going to conclude with Aleinu and then Mourner's Kaddish. Aleinu is on page 282. I invite you to rise if you are able. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים 7. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו Going to turn now to Mourner's Kaddish, which is on page 294. And if you have a name you'd like to mention, someone you are remembering at this time and reciting Mourner's Kaddish for, please let me know in the chat. If you're on Zoom, you can unmute yourself and let me know. And from our community, we recall Alan Stark, the beloved father of James Stark, father-in-law of Sunday Clark, and grandfather of Bennett Stark. There are others we're remembering this evening. Spence.
Okay, my wife, Betsy Gould, her 11th yard site. Thank you.
May her memory be a blessing, Spence. Others. I'll give you a moment.
My father, Neil Spritz.
Neil Spritz. May his memory be a blessing, Nathan. Okay, be on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala v'zman kori v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kodesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. May all those we've named, all those who are in our hearts tonight, may their memories be for a blessing. So before we conclude our service, I have a few announcements to share. Tomorrow morning, Rabbi Schaefer will lead Torah study, and I believe that's at 10:30. Check your newsletter if you can. And next Saturday night already will be Slichot. Next Saturday night, the 12th, we will have the opportunity to come together and hear and sing together melodies of the High Holy Days, have some time for reflection. We will also hear the sound of the shofar, and we'll actually, towards the beginning of the night, we'll be making Havdalah together. We will be escorting out Shabbat and also really welcoming in this New Year time. So I hope you'll come. It's really meant for all ages and stages to really reconnect as a community for the new year, and it really will be a special night, and I hope that you'll all can be there. There's a lot else to say about the High Holy Days. There are a lot of things happening, so I will just tell you to go to our website. There is a page dedicated to the High Holy Days, and there you will find hopefully everything you need to know. And if you don't find everything you need to know, please feel free to reach out to me, Rabbi Schaefer, or any of the TOS staff to ask any questions that you may have. We really hope to open our virtual doors wide to everybody who wishes to come in. And we hope also that that you will, if you haven't renewed your membership for the year and you are a member, we really hope that you will. It's a really difficult time for all synagogues and institutions, as you know, and we need your support. We need to stay strong as we have for almost 180 years. We need to be around for at least 180 years more, and we want to be strong for when we can finally be back together under the dome again. So we do appreciate your support and your membership. So I'm sure there are lots of other things to say, but just keep in touch with us, stay on the website, look at our newsletters. It's a lot coming at you, but we really hope that you'll join us for all that we're offering coming up. So I'm going to lead us in in Kaddish. Actually, not in Motzi, but I'll invite you to say Motzi when you begin your meal, presumably after the service. And please rise, we're on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי באנו ובחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. All right, I love seeing some l'chaims over there. Beautiful. And we will conclude with, Josh will lead us in Ohabei Shalom to conclude our service. The words are on page 60.
Ohabei Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Let's sing that part again. Oh say shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Ohabei Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Ve'imru, amen.
Thank you so much, Josh, for helping us out. My kids and husband were supposed to join me tonight, but life got in the way, and kids were not at their best tonight. So I know that all parents of young children can relate. So thank you so much, Josh, for helping with tech and music. Thank you all for joining us tonight, whether by Zoom or by TV or our web page and Facebook Live. We're so happy to be together in virtual community. And I wish you a Shabbat Shalom and a Shana Tova, a good and sweet new year ahead. Hope to see you next week, if not before. Take care.